Welcome to Adorama TV. My name is Marcin Lewandowski, and in this episode of the Viewfinder, I want to talk to you about the joys and opportunities of early morning photography. Even though you might not be a fan of waking up early in the morning, sunrise, it's quite an extraordinary time of the day for photographers and well worth getting up early for. There are few things that might sway you to set the alarm earlier than usual, and I will start with an explanation of how light changes through the course of the morning. The first event that will take place, when we wait for the sun to rise, is the twilight, called by photographers the blue hour, due to the blue hue that appears on photographs taken at this time of the day, especially the deep blue skies. Twilight starts about 1 hour before sunrise, when we can start to see objects in the landscape while the sun is still below the horizon. At this time of the day, our photographic equipment will record beautiful deep blue tones while our eyes will still struggle to see. The second phase that comes directly after twilight is what we photographers call the golden hour. This can treat us to a spectacular show of colors. The golden hour is really never 1 hour long and will differ depending on your location. Basically, the closer you are to the equator, the shorter the golden hour will appear, and the further away from the equator you are, then the longer the golden hour will be. Tones of light during this time can appear very warm, and whether you plan to photograph in the mountains or within urban landscape, this is the time when a beautiful orange light will hit peaks and tops of the buildings, leaving the rest of the scene still washed in the blue light of twilight. If you're lucky, you might also be treated with crepuscular rays, also known as God rays or sunbeams, which look like separate columns of light emanating from the sun hiding behind the clouds. After the twilight and the golden hour phases comes the sunrise. This is an exciting time of long shadows and strong contrast. Light will still appear warmer in color during the sunrise. It will cool down as the sun travels higher up over the horizon, and if you are photographing in the city environment, it's a great time to look for reflections and spots of light appearing for short periods of time here and there. On top of the light conditions, it's well worth mentioning other benefits of photographing in the morning. Due to the rapid temperature changes, once the sun is above the horizon, we have a much bigger chance of fog, which can add an ethereal quality to our photographs. Another thing is that wildlife wakes up around this time, and even if you're not photographing in the wild, you should notice more activity, especially in the sky. In the urban environment, streets will be emptier than usual, presenting themselves in a different way than during a rush hour, but also creating opportunities and allowing us to be more flexible in the movement. As with everything else, planning is a good way to make sure that we will get the most from a sunrise. The weather forecast is one of the first things to look at when planning any outdoor photography. You must check the time of the sunrise. This will give you a better idea when to expect the light of the blue and golden hours. Another tip when planning is to have a look at where the sun will rise. I find the photographer's ephemeris a particularly good tool to do this. To plan even more detail, look on how light travels across the landscape through the day. You can use the desktop version of Google Earth to do this. Just give it a shot, and you will have a few less unknowns to deal with once on the location. Have a look at the forecast and the time of sunrise. If it's encouraging enough, set your alarm clock a few hours earlier than usual and you'll be pleasantly surprised. Share your sunrise with us on Adorama using the hashtag Adorama. Subscribe to our channel for more and check out the Adorama Learning Center for more tips and tutorials. This was Marcin Lewandowski for Adorama TV. See you next time.